Bedwars has a currency problem. You might be asking me why I'd think that, considering that everything in Bedwars is reasonably priced. It's up to you. You're way too cheap. It's hard to believe you're even cheaper before Season 1 came out. I don't know what Hive was thinking. But keep in mind, I'm not really talking about the prices of things. I want to move this conversation more to the value of what each currency should be versus what it actually is, if that makes sense. These here are your 4 horsemen of your stomp. Those were your 4 horsemen of currency, but let's start with what should be the least valuable and work our way to what should be the most. Your game of Bedwars will open up with your generator producing 1 iron every 3 seconds. We'll get into increasing our level in a bit, but let's just start with level 1 and work our way from there. Iron is the first step in getting the most important things in a Bedwars game: blocks and a weapon. Now, because with iron we can't get really anything beyond a stone sword and wool, it's clear that iron is going to be common, and while it does give us access to the essential, it's obviously going to cater to the lower tier of essentials. This is good. The game is allowing us to get necessities even at a low common end. It's also incentivizing us to look into getting our better minerals to buy better variants of those necessities. It gives us the bare minimum to work with, and you could totally win the game on just iron, but the value of iron is good because of how common it is and how weak it is. Everybody has it, yes, but it does the worst out of all the minerals, meaning that it is balanced and obviously logically made. Or is it? More on that later. Let's talk about mineral number 2. Let's talk about gold. Now keep in mind you can only obtain gold once you have a level 2 generator, so we'll start with that. At generator level 2, you're only producing gold. Your production speed for iron hasn't changed at all. Iron is producing at 1 bar per 3 seconds, and gold is 1 bar per 4 seconds. We'll do something here called the 60-second test, where we will compare the minerals side by side to see how much they can accomplish in 1 full minute. In that time, you can see that gold would produce 15 times in 1 minute to iron's 20 times in that same minute. So obviously iron's a little bit more common and a little faster than gold, meaning that gold has to have more value. And knowing that, gold will still provide you with the same essentials, only better, like blocks and a weapon. Like blocks and a weapon. A weapon. Oh, right. Despite the lack of evolution in the weapon category, I'm okay with this because iron's not so far removed from gold. They're very close to each other in terms of purpose and value, so I can get by iron still providing the weapon, even if I do see it as a bit of an oversight. Until you remember that that oversight is crucial to the importance of iron in the first place. Going back to our 60-second test, we had deduced that 15 gold was the equivalent of 20 iron based on a level 2 generator. But there is one problem here. It's not the essentials in question that's necessarily where I'm questioning its value, it's the quantity in it. Let me show you something. So you're probably looking at this wondering what I'm talking about. What am I yapping about? With a level 2 generator, you will get 5 gold in 20 seconds and get 5 iron in 15. Iron is only useful early game at this point as far as essentials go, because gold doesn't sell you a weapon. Because if it did, iron would be completely nullified until late game. Completely. You could make an argument for chain armor being useful, but it's lesser so in a solo game because by the time you have enough to get chain armor, you're probably going to be getting iron armor 30 seconds behind it, so kind of defeats the purpose of having chain. Diamonds early game though hold a pretty decent value, I will say. You and your nearest opponent will probably contest the diamond generator. Why? Because diamonds are extremely valuable early game. Diamonds are useful for just about anything, especially early game. And what's great about them is they don't come that easy either, because until you're in middle to late game, you're gonna have to leave your base and put yourself out in the open in order to get these. So there's a level of work that needs to be done that makes these a valuable asset. Only thing I'd find myself saying about diamonds is that I wish there was more to spend them on. But the time it takes to obtain a diamond as well as the work you need to do in order to get a diamond in the first place is well worth what you get paid. This has extremely high value. This is what we want to see. Lastly, we have emeralds, but emeralds do fall into a bit of a unique situation compared to the other 3. And that's because you can't really account for emeralds early game. By the time you get emeralds, you're probably closer to middle, so I guess we'll start around there. Emeralds, when you're first able to get your hands on them, can honestly turn the worst game into your favor if you have enough of them. It is that good. The issue with emeralds, though, is that there is a point in time where emeralds won't be that useful anymore. A set of diamond armor is very good, but you only need to buy it once. Same thing applies to team upgrades as well as the level 5 generator. Both are great, but it's a one-time purchase. Diamond sword, you'll probably need to purchase a couple times. Diamond pickaxe, you don't really need it often enough. And obsidian is sort of overkill. It's not often those are used in games, but that's a player's choice more than anything. You can make a case for the knockback dory as well as the ender pearls, but other than that, emeralds has a sort of finite high value where it's really good at one point, and then once you surpass that point, you're no longer needing to worry about it. Since emerald talk is more of a late game thing, let's look at the use of all the minerals in a late game sense. We'll look at this from a level 5 generator perspective where you are getting iron and gold every 2 seconds and a diamond every 5 seconds. The only 2 uses iron will be giving you late game would be a fireball every 128 seconds or alternatively a dragon breath ball every 96. Take your pick, either way, it takes forever. Gold will provide you with golden apples, your arrows, wood, and your turrets. All pretty good things. Diamonds give the player access to auto bridgers, iron tools, and makes up the primary cost for diamond armor. I can't quite account for emeralds the way I did the other 3 because they don't spawn at their base, so they're solely affected by the generator speeding up as the game goes on, so just take that into account. For emeralds, we have ender pearls, knockback dories, diamond armor, and diamond tools. With late game iron, you have to hope your base is produced enough just for those 2 things to be viable. With gold, it's completely useful throughout the entirety of the game. There's no problem with gold at all. Diamond is a little bit similar, but diamond has a different use at the start of the game compared to late game, so diamonds are helpful just in different ways toward the end. And emeralds, very good, but in a limited sense, because of the things I've listed, diamond armor is the only high necessity thing you'll have, because you can get by without an ender pearl, a dory, and a sword. So that's the only thing of emeralds I would say is pretty much mandatory. The problem is, Hive wants us to see it like this, where iron's the worst and emerald's the best, but you get something more like this. Hold on, there's something still wrong about this. Let me just... Okay, there we go. Much better. To sum it up, let me just round it off quickly. The only time I'd consider iron reliable is in the first 2 to 3 minutes of every game, because other than that, you're only going to get lucky with this if you happen to have enough at your base to get a fireball or a dragon ball. Gold manages to be useful at every nook and cranny of this game, even if the benefits it provides is usually only mild. Massive game changer at the start of every game, moderately helpful at the end of every game. Don't take these for granted. You do exactly what you want with them, and they will be extremely useful for when you do, but once you run out of things that you need with them, you're not gonna look to them too much. Diamond and gold will remain your best friends. Remember, it's not as straightforward as the price of something in the item shop, it's about the value of the mineral in question. Diamond and gold are valued at a perfect level, in my opinion. Diamond basically asks you to take a constant risk by staying away from your base, while gold says, bring 1 diamond back and we'll take care of the rest in your cozy, comfortable base. Iron, while being super common and obviously the easiest to obtain, it should have a little bit more use beyond just conveniently having enough in the late game. It does a good job of securing itself as something useful at the start of the game, but once you get gold and diamond, it's super easy to forget about iron, and I don't blame you for it either. If a player gets emeralds, those emeralds get to shine for about 2 to 5 minutes depending on who you are. You put those emeralds towards faster respawn, regeneration, diamond armor, diamond sword, things to change the game altogether, things to turn the tide. But once you turn the tide, you don't really need much else. Do you want a dory? Sure, you can get it, but you won't absolutely need it. Ender pearl, if you get into a tight spot, yeah, you could use it, but again, you don't need it. Emeralds are the riskiest mineral in the game, so they should reflect that in just about every angle they can offer. Unfortunately, they do, but only for a limited time. They should have a bit of a bigger, longer use in the game. So I'm hoping maybe Hive will add a couple things come Season 2 or something that will allow emeralds to shine and say, you worked hard to get me, this is what I can do. At the end of the day, we need to ask ourselves, as well as Hive ask themselves, if the risk of getting the best things in theory is worth it in execution. In my opinion, Emerald should be a little bit more worth its trouble, and Iron shouldn't be quite as useless after early game. We should give it a small middle game purpose, something that doesn't change the game completely, but just a little boost to help out.